Hello and welcome to the 12 News Connected Desk. I'm Keith Grant. We've got Sean Logging here with us. Of course, we're going to hit on what happened last week at the Statehouse in Topeka. What's happening this week? We'll start with last week, though.
Yes.
It looks like in the House you've got highlighted, of course, the budget.
Yeah, so we had a lot of bills passed out last week in both the House and Senate. This was the turnaround deadline was on Thursday, so basically they had to get the bills passed if they wanted to remain alive this year. So, of course, the House passed out their version of the budget. This is a lot quicker than we normally see it because of the process that House Republicans are looking to implement this year when it comes to just kind of moving that budget along a little bit faster. So now it's the Senate's turn to really kind of hammer into those numbers, and we'll see just kind of how things end up here between the House and Senate.
So will they introduce two separate bills, or are they going
So now
to...
the the Senate has received the House's version of the appropriations bill. So the Senate will start working on that bill.
Okay.
And so they can make changes, amendments, and things like that. And then they'll have to take it to the floor of the Senate. And if there's any significant changes or any changes, the House will have to go back and work on it, vote on it, and then there'll be like a conference committee toward the end of the session.
And I know that you hit on this just a little bit ago, but this is really fast compared to previous years.
Normally, like the budget is one of the last things
Yes.
you really see get done because it starts with the governor giving her recommendation, and then lawmakers are really kind of digging into all that and getting stuff from agencies and departments. This year, they really kind of did a lot of that legwork ahead of time, so that basically when the session started, they were going.
Yeah, that's good though. Also, apartment inspections. This is something that we've kind of seen here in Wichita as well.
So one of the bills that was passed out last week by the House is it would kind of allow for more inspections of apartments across the state. So looking for things like poor maintenance, issues with just kind of living conditions there. So this could allow for more action against apartments.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of renters would be looking forward to that. On the Senate side, though, pronoun bill, did it move forward?
Yeah, so the Senate passed this out. So this would basically require that public or basically K-12 and post-secondary schools and institutions use students' pronouns that's basically assigned to them on their birth certificate. So this could create a lot of tension as we continue to see targeting more of these culture war type issues.
Scholarship and voucher bill. This is something that we've talked about before, but it sounds like it's moving ahead again.
Yep, so the Senate passed out this bill. It's called a Low Income Student Scholarship Act, but really it's kind of a voucher program where basically people would get rebates or credits for tuition. So the first year it's projected to be able to cover $125 million. So that's a big amount of funding there. So that could lead to some concerns when it comes to funding public education.
This is essentially, say the government gives these families money to go whatever school they choose.
Yeah, so basically if you go to like a private school or a tuition-based school or homeschool even, like you could apply for this to get basically a credit or a rebate.
Yeah. All right. SNAP banning junk food.
Yeah, so this is another bill that passed out of the Senate. It would basically require that the state not allow candy and soda pop and things like that from being eligible for SNAP benefits.
And have we heard anything on why they're bringing this up now?
This is something they've done a few times in the past. This is just the farthest we've actually kind of seen it go.
Okay. All right. Interesting. This week it's kind of short. We don't have the full amount of schedules happening this week, right?
Yeah, so basically the session this week is basically Tuesday through Friday. And so a bit of a shorter week here for lawmakers as they get back from turnaround.
All right, but this week we do have two different things that we're taking a look at. How is it Supreme Court justices are selected?
Yeah, so there is a constitutional amendment that will be heard in committee this week that would basically change it from the current merit-based system of selecting Supreme Court justices to making it an election. So basically, the justices would be on the ballot, and voters would have to decide who they want to be on the Supreme Court.
Would this be a statewide election?
Yeah, so this would probably be a statewide election, of course. But the thing is, this merit-based system has been in place for decades because of a scandal that happened here in Kansas back in the late 1960s, 70s, I believe, something like that, where basically a governor resigned so that he would get appointed to the Supreme Court during like the last few months or weeks of his term in office. So it created backlash that we created this merit-based system where basically we have judges, lawyers, and some other citizens who really kind of whittle down a list of potential candidates for Supreme Court, and then that is submitted to the governor to make a final decision, and then her recommendation is then given to the legislature.
And that's our current system. This would potentially move it to a voting system.
Yep.
Also, active shooter training, is this changing
Yeah,
the
so
models?
there is a bill that is currently going to be having a hearing in a committee this week.
Okay.
That would require schools to do active shooter training with their students, and so it doesn't really specify like what type of active shooter training they need to actually implement, but it would require that schools do some form of training when it comes to their students.
So this would be a statewide mandate rather than a district.
Yeah. So
mandate.
right now it's basically up to the districts, kind of what
Okay.
they do. This would basically just make it a requirement for districts.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Sean. That's all we've got right